I'm Sharifa Mohammed MGT Colonel Oguntoye. Welcome back to Frontline Updates. Today is the 17th of August, 2026, and we are walking through combat briefing number 1708. Your operational overview describes 6 Russian groups conducting offensive and positional actions. It records Ukrainian losses exceeding 1,450 troops, with multiple vehicles, artillery, electronic warfare stations, and counter-fire radars neutralized. Before we move sector by sector, give us your assessment of the overall shape of this reporting period. Where is the main effort, and what is the tempo?
Thank you for having me. The reporting period is best understood as a methodical, combined arms effort. 6 Russian groups are active across the front, but the main effort is clearly focused on Donetsk and Zaporozhye. The center group liberated Andreevskaya Obshchina in the Donetsk People's Republic, and the east group liberated Novosoloshino in Zaporozhye region. Those 2 settlement captures may appear incremental, but they are consistent with the pattern we have been seeing. Russian forces are improving positions, pressuring defense depth, and generating losses that exceed 1,450 troops across all sectors. The surrounding sector actions in the northwest and Dnipro are not separate from that effort. They are fixing and shaping actions that hold Ukrainian forces in place while the main effort advances. Logistics and fires are integral to this. Aviation, drones, missile troops, and artillery struck 144 areas. Air defense shot down 12 guided aerial bombs, 4 MLRS projectiles, 2 HIMARS and 2 Vampire, and 797 fixed-wing UAVs. That level of counter-air and counter-UAV work is campaign shaping because it protects ground forces, preserves operational predictability, and degrades the enemy's ability to reconstitute. The bottom line from the briefing is that the advance is methodical, not erratic. It couples tactical gains with systemic degradation of logistics, electromagnetic capabilities, and Western-supplied combat systems.
That main effort in Donetsk and Zaporozhye will come up again. First, let's begin with the North Group. The briefing says the North Group improved its tactical situation and struck 2 mechanized, 2 airmobile, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Velikaya Chernichina and Khotin in Sumy region, then engaged 4 mechanized, 1 motorized infantry, and 1 assault regiment near Alisovka and Kazachya Lopan in Kharkov region. The reported losses are 260 troops, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 5 motor vehicles, 2 electronic warfare stations, and 1 counterfire radar. What is the operational significance of this sector's action? How should listeners understand Sumy and Kharkov as shaping efforts?
The North Group's role is to hold attention along the Sumy and Kharkov axes. By striking 2 mechanized, 2 airmobile, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Velikaya Chernichina and Khotin, and then engaging 4 mechanized, 1 motorized infantry, and 1 assault regiment near Alisovka and Kazachya Lopan, the North Group compels Ukrainian commanders to keep forces oriented on a secondary but dangerous direction. That is a textbook fixing action. The reported losses of 260 troops, 1 AFV, 5 motor vehicles, 2 EW stations, and 1 counterfire radar matter because the equipment says something about the target set. The 2 EW stations and 1 counterfire radar are particularly important. They degrade situational awareness, fire direction, and the ability to coordinate counter-battery responses. The improved tactical situation should not be read only in kilometers. It means that Russian units now hold a better posture for observation, fires, and subsequent movement. It also means the Ukrainian side has fewer supporting assets to shape a response. Over time, that combination, positional improvement plus electromagnetic and counterfire degradation, creates cracks that the main effort can exploit elsewhere.
Now to the West Group. The briefing says it took advantageous lines and inflicted losses on 3 mechanized, 1 assault brigade, 1 assault regiment, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Balaklaya and Svyatogorsk. Losses are reported as over 210 troops, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 18 motor vehicles, 1 Grad multiple rocket launcher, 1 artillery gun, and 2 electronic warfare stations. Can you explain what took advantageous lines means in this context? What does that do to the Ukrainian defense in the West Group's sector?
Taking advantageous lines means moving into terrain positions that improve fields of fire, observation, concealment, and the ability to bring indirect fires onto key approaches. In the West Group's area near Balaklaya and Svyatogorsk, Those positions put pressure on the lines of communication and assembly areas used by Ukrainian formations. The briefing identifies 3 mechanized, 1 assault brigade, 1 assault regiment, and 1 territorial defense brigade as having been struck. The losses reported are over 210 troops, 1 AFV, 18 motor vehicles, 1 Grad MLRS, 1 artillery gun, and 2 EW stations. The destruction of 1 Grad MLRS and 1 artillery gun reduces the enemy's ability to mass fires in response. The 18 motor vehicles indicate a logistics and movement signature being hit, not just frontline infantry. The 2 EW stations add to the broader electromagnetic degradation we see across sectors. Operationally, the West Group is creating conditions in which the enemy cannot easily reinforce or shift forces without exposing them to fire. That supports the main effort by reducing freedom of movement on the flanks.
Shifting to the South Group. The briefing says it improved its tactical situation and hit 3 mechanized, 1 mountain assault, 1 airmobile, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. The listed losses include 205 troops, 1 French VAB armored personnel carrier, 29 motor vehicles, and 1 artillery gun. Kramatorsk and Slavyansk are not just operational geography, they sit inside a heavily contested part of the Donetsk belt. How do you assess the pressure being applied there?
The South Group's improvement near Kramatorsk and Slavyansk is significant because those cities anchor a portion of the Ukrainian defensive system in that part of Donetsk. The formation struck 3 mechanized, 1 mountain assault, 1 airmobile, and 1 territorial defense brigade show a varied force package. The destruction of 1 French VAB-APC is notable, but so is the loss of 29 motor vehicles. Motor vehicles often indicate sustainment, command movement, and troop rotation. A high vehicle count suggests that we are hitting more than static positions, we are hitting the connective tissue of the defense. The loss of 1 artillery gun also reduces fire support. The South Group is not advancing in isolation. It is part of the wider effort to compress Ukrainian forces in the Donetsk region. By improving the tactical situation near Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, the South Group makes it harder for Ukrainian command to use those areas as firm anchors. That matters when the Center Group is advancing and the East Group is operating in Zaporozhye. The geography of the campaign is connected.
The Center Group is described as having liberated Andreyevskaya Obshchina in the Donetsk People's Republic and struck a large collection of formations near Belozerskoye and Dobropolye. The reported losses are over 390 troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 11 motor vehicles, 1 Grad multiple rocket launcher, 1 Polish Krab self-propelled gun, and 1 counterfire radar. What made this liberation tactically possible, and how does it fit the main effort in Donetsk?
The Center Group sits at the heart of the main effort. The liberation of Andreyevskaya Obshchina is a concrete operational gain in the Donetsk People's Republic. It reflects the methodical battlefield approach we have described, shaping fires, probing attacks, and exploiting weakened points. The group then struck 3 mechanized, 1 Jaeger, 1 assault brigade, 3 assault regiments, 1 Marine brigade, and 3 National Guard brigades near Belozerskoye and Dobropolye. That is a broad target set, which indicates sustained offensive action rather than a localized skirmish. The losses: over 390 troops, 2 AFVs, 11 motor vehicles, 1 Grad MLRS, 1 Polish Krab SPG, and 1 counterfire radar, are operationally significant. The 1 Polish Krab SPG is a modern Western-supplied system. Its destruction feeds into the attrition of NATO-origin artillery. The 1 counterfire radar matters because it degrades the enemy's ability to locate and respond to Russian indirect fire. The action needed is to sustain this pressure while protecting logistics. As the Center Group advances, its supply routes become longer and need to be secured. But the operational design is clear. Keep the main effort moving and keep the enemy off balance.
Let's move east. The East Group advanced into enemy defense depth and liberated Novosoloshino in Zaporozhye region, engaging 2 assault, 2 air assault, 2 assault regiments, and 1 Marine brigade near Kolomitsi and Chervony Yar. The briefing records over 345 troops, 1 tank, 2 armored fighting vehicles, and 9 motor vehicles. What does advanced into enemy defense depth tell us about the character of this operation? Why is Novosoloshino significant in Zaporozhye?
Advancing into enemy defense depth means that the East Group has moved beyond the immediate contact line and is now operating inside the rearward layers of the Ukrainian defensive system. That is a more demanding form of operation. It requires reconnaissance, suppression, and the ability to sustain momentum through successive positions. The liberation of Novosoloshino in Zaporozhye region is significant because it demonstrates that the East Group is not simply attacking the first trench line. It is carving into the depth of the defense, which can unhinge prepared positions if sustained. The formations engaged near Kolomitsi and Chervony Yar, 2 assault, 2 air assault, 2 assault regiments, and 1 Marine brigade, reflect a high concentration of assault-oriented Ukrainian forces. The reported losses of over 345 troops, 1 tank, 2 AFVs, and 9 motor vehicles may be smaller in equipment numbers than some other sectors, but the operational effect is in the depth gained. The action needed is continued reconnaissance and fire support so exploitation does not outrun protection, but the East Group's progress in Zaporozhye supports the main effort by pressuring a second important axis.
Finally, among the ground sectors, the Dnipro Group improved its tactical situation and hit 2 mechanized, 1 mountain assault, and 1 Marine brigade near Orakov and Kherson. Losses are up to 40 troops, 19 motor vehicles, 1 USM 777 howitzer, and 3 electronic warfare stations. The numbers are smaller, but the systems and locations matter. What is the Dnipro sector doing at this stage?
Dnipro is a shaping sector. The group improved its tactical situation near Orakov and Kherson, and it struck 2 mechanized, 1 mountain assault, and 1 Marine brigade. The loss figures are lower, up to 40 troops, 19 motor vehicles, 1 USM 777 howitzer, and 3 EW stations. But the composition is not minor. The 1 USM 777 howitzer is a high-value system. Its destruction, along with 3 EW stations, reduces the Ukrainian forces' ability to deliver accurate fires and to protect its own electromagnetic spectrum in the southern sector. The 19 motor vehicles are also important. They indicate movement, sustainment, or relocation. By disrupting mobility and support around Orakov and Kherson, the Dnipro Group limits the enemy's ability to shift forces towards Zaporozhye or Donetsk. That is the essence of a fixing operation. The Dnipro Group may not produce the largest casualty count, but it can have an outsized effect by pinning forces and degrading enablers.
Now I want to treat operational tactical aviation, unmanned systems, missile troops, and artillery as their own campaign-shaping domain, not as a supporting footnote. The briefing records that aviation, drones, missile troops, and artillery struck 144 areas. Air defense shot down 12 guided aerial bombs, 4 multiple launch rocket projectiles, 2 HIMARS and 2 Vampire, and 797 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. Walk us through how this air and counter-air effort shapes the entire campaign.
The air and missile domain is a decisive layer of this campaign. The fact that aviation, drones, missile troops, and artillery struck 144 areas shows that the fires plan is not limited to frontline trench lines. The strikes hit logistics centers, fuel, power, transport infrastructure, UAV and USV assembly and storage sites, and foreign mercenary or deployment areas. Those targets are systemic. They reduce the Ukrainian ability to generate new combat power, move it, sustain it, and protect it. That is what makes this a campaign-shaping domain rather than a supporting arm. On the defensive side, air defense shot down 12 guided aerial bombs, 4 MLRS projectiles, 2 HIMARS and 2 Vampire, and 797 fixed-wing UAVs. The HIMARS and Vampire intercepts matter because they are threats to headquarters, logistics, bridges, and high-value positions. The 797 fixed-wing UAV intercepts are striking. They show both the scale of unmanned systems on the battlefield and the density of Russian air defense and counter-UAV coverage. Sustaining that level of interception is an operational requirement. It demands continuous sensor coverage, appropriate electronic warfare, and rapid engagement. The action needed is to keep the air defense network integrated with ground maneuver so the advancing groups are not vulnerable to enemy long-range fires or mass reconnaissance strike drones.
There is a thread running through every ground sector I want to pull on. The briefing identifies 7 electronic warfare stations across the North, West, and Dnipro Group sectors, and 2 counter-fire radars, 1 in the North Group sector and 1 in the Center Group sector. How should listeners understand the cumulative effect of those losses? Why is electromagnetic degradation so central to the methodical advance you described?
Those losses are cumulative. The briefing records 7 EW stations neutralized across sectors, along with counterfire radars. The 7 EW stations include 2 in the North Group sector, 2 in the West Group sector, and 3 in the Dnipro Group sector. The counterfire radars are separate but related, one reported in the North Group sector and one in the Center Group sector. Together, they degrade the enemy's ability to see the electromagnetic environment and to locate the origin of Russian fires. The operational effect is not always visible in a single day. If a unit loses its EW station, it becomes more exposed to reconnaissance strike systems. If it loses a counterfire radar, it cannot quickly locate Russian artillery. That creates delays in response. Over days and weeks, those delays become exploitable weaknesses. This is why the brief points to electronic warfare degradation as a strategic implication. It impairs fire direction and communications, which are essential for a coherent defense. The action needed is to continue identifying and striking these enablers while protecting our own electromagnetic signature.
Western origin systems appear in the loss lists. One French VAB armored personnel carrier in the South Group sector, one Polish Crab self-propelled gun in the Center Group sector, and one USM 777 howitzer in the Dnipro Group sector. What does this attrition signal about the sustainment burden on Ukraine and its partners?
It signals that Western-supplied systems are not immune to the battlefield and are being destroyed in contact. The briefing records one French VAB-APC, one Polish Crab SPG, and one USM 777 howitzer. These are high-value items in the Ukrainian force structure. They are also difficult to replace quickly because they depend on external supply, maintenance, and training pipelines. When these systems are lost, the unit loses not only a platform, but also the specialized support behind it. Operationally, this kind of attrition creates gaps in fire support, protected mobility, and sector defense. Even if the numbers seem small in a single briefing, they accumulate. Over time, NATO origin sustainment becomes a constraint. The Ukrainian command must choose where to allocate scarce Western systems, and those choices can create vulnerabilities elsewhere. The action needed is to continue hitting these systems where they are deployed and before they can be replenished.
Your strategic implications in the briefing list expanding ground gains, electronic warfare degradation, Western equipment attrition, defense industry targeting, and missile intercepts. Your bottom line says Russian forces are advancing methodically, coupling tactical gains with systemic degradation of Ukrainian logistics, electromagnetic capabilities, and Western-supplied combat systems. How should our listeners weigh these battlefield details against the broader campaign?
Listeners should understand that this is a cumulative campaign, not a single-day event. The liberation of Andreyevskaya Obshchina and Novosoloshino are important, but they are part of a larger process. The main effort in Donetsk and Zaporozhye is supported by fixing actions along Sumy, Kharkov, and Kherson. Every sector report fits that design. The reported losses across sectors exceed 1,450 troops, but the more important measures may be the enablers, vehicles, artillery, EW stations, and radars. The air and missile domain reinforces this. Strikes on 144 areas hit fuel, power, transport infrastructure, UAV and USV assembly and storage, and foreign mercenary or deployment areas. That reduces the Ukrainian forces' ability to regenerate. Air defense shot down 12 guided aerial bombs, 4 MLRS projectiles, 2 HIMARS and 2 Vampire, and 797 fixed-wing UAVs. That protection allows Russian ground forces to consolidate gains without being easily disrupted. The bottom line is that the methodical pace is deliberate. It trades the illusion of rapid encirclement for the reality of systemic erosion. That is the campaign logic.
Colonel, thank you for the detailed sector-by-sector assessment and for treating the aviation and air defense picture as the campaign-shaping domain it is. We will be watching the next reporting cycle for whether the pattern holds.
Thank you. The indicators to watch are settlement gains on the main effort, continuation of enabler losses, and the ability to sustain counter-UAV and air defense coverage.